There are lots of crystals out there that are very popular and people are really aware of their uses, what they're meant to be good for. So this, for example, is lapis lazuli, and it has some very popular uses. And if you give it a quick Google, you'll see that many different websites are saying the same sorts of things about it. Many people are recommending using it in the same way. And you'll get books like the one I've got here, and I've got many crystal books. This is one of them. It's very well known. It's an excellent book called The Crystal Bible, and this contains lots of information about crystals and all their properties and what they're good for. Now that's great, and it's really helpful, particularly when you're new to working with crystals and it can feel a bit overwhelming and you think, well, I don't know which one to pick. So you can go for something really popular like amethyst or clear quartz, and you've got a bit of an idea around what these crystals can be used for. And that's all great. However, crystal energy is the way it is, so we've got selenite here. So selenite is really good for cleansing and clearing other crystals, connecting to our crown chakra and helping us to connect to spirit, for example, because this is a very high vibration crystal. So this tends to be used by people in the same sort of way, which is great. But our energy is different and is unique to each of us. So much as that crystal's energy is the same, if you've got a piece of selenite and I've got a piece of selenite, the likelihood is it's going to have the same sort of property, but you might connect with the selenite differently to how I connect with it. And that's because the crystal energy interacts with our energy, and that is unique to us. So much as there is a certain crystal that might help with your healing your heart chakra, there's a certain crystal that's great at making you feel grounded. And those crystals do have those types of energies. Some crystals vibrate very high and connect to the higher chakras. Some of them vibrate a little bit lower. They're a bit more dense. They help us to feel safe and secure and grounded. But how those crystals interact with our energy, that's what makes it unique to us. And that's when we have our own experience with crystals. So as much as I absolutely would recommend having a read of books like the Crystal Bible, but when it comes to working with crystals, keep it in your mind, okay, so these crystals are meant to be really grounding and I need a grounding crystal. But you might find you've got a different type of crystal that helps you to feel grounded. And if that works for you, that's what I would recommend you do. Something that might be useful to do, and it's something I'm doing, I've got my journal over there, is I write down how I feel when I work with a certain crystal. So I'll hold a crystal, I'll carry it around with me for a couple of days or maybe longer, and I'll see what happens and how I react to what happens. So did I have a pleasant experience when I had this crystal with me, or did I feel like things were happening and being brought to me that were a bit uncomfortable, in which case maybe that crystal is healing my heart chakra and something happened to bring up something that I needed to heal from. I've laid in a crystal net, which is where you place crystals around your body and you lay down, and the crystals have interacted with my energy, and I felt quite unsafe and anxious. And it's not the crystals making me feel unsafe or anxious, but the type of crystal I use, which was black obsidian, is very good for healing things. Well, if you're going to heal from something, then it means it's being brought to the surface in order to be released, which means temporarily we feel whatever it is that we need to be healed from. So I obviously had a lot of anxiety I was carrying around with me. Laying in a grid of black obsidian brought that anxiety to the surface, which made me realise what I'd been carrying, and it was quite unpleasant, and I must have been carrying that around with me for who knows how long. But because I felt it, I recognised that was the crystal energy bringing it to the surface. It was a bit unpleasant, but then it moved away, and then I felt so much better afterwards. So journaling, write down the name of the crystal, how long did you carry it with you for, what happened, who did you meet, what experiences did you have, and how did you feel and react to those experiences. You might not find anything unpleasant happen, so don't be put off using crystals. If you do find something triggers you, it's a good thing because you're healing from whatever it is that's been holding you back. But you might find you wear a crystal and you suddenly feel more confident. You might take a crystal to a meeting with you, whereas normally in that meeting perhaps you're a bit quiet and you don't like speaking up and you're a bit uncomfortable with it, and you were able to find your voice in that meeting and you spoke clearly and coherently, and afterwards you thought, wow, where did that come from? So write that down, because that crystal might be useful for you to use to keep your throat chakra clear, or maybe it was helping you with confidence to speak up. So it was more about feeling comfortable speaking up instead of feeling anxious and nervous and shutting down and closing your throat chakra. So enjoy your journey with crystals, but the journaling and working with them in your own unique way is something I would highly recommend you do.